we're back, and it's safe to say we're a little bit obsessed about this film.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Don't.
ladies and gentlemen, if you all have been feeling lonely, if you have been feeling sad, if you have been feeling like you need a little bit of a palate cleanser, there is a short film on YouTube which just so happens to be on the film major called Where Sunflowers Bloom. It is directed by yours truly, starring Lewis Knight and many other people, so do check out that short film. That short film will make you cry maybe, and it may be something that you might not cry at, but all the same, you are in for a beautiful film that was made with a lot of love from everybody. We are here today to talk about Obsession. Now, Obsession, as you know, is the film on everyone's minds and the film on everyone's lips. RIP to you know who. Obsession did not exactly end with rainbows and sunshines, but it's fine. Still recovering. To begin off this discussion, we have Bear, we have Nikki, we have everybody who wants to see this film, and we want to talk about all the many different things. But first question is basically, was Bear the actual villain of Obsession?
I know on my podcast I said I felt sorry for him, but however, after doing some thinking about it, right, somewhat yes, in a way, he's the own villain.
I mean, I think he is, because, like, as far as I'm concerned, if brother didn't go and do that, nothing would have happened.
Yeah,
As far as I'm concerned.
I agree. If he did not like the thing, right? I think, to be honest with you, if I see anyone like doing this, I'm gonna be like, I'm just gonna run away already.
Yeah.
but like, I mean, like, yet somewhat yes, he is the villain, but at the same time, I'm gonna say no at the same time, right? Because the thing is, like, he obviously loves Nikki, like adores Nikki, right? If you remember, within the first 10 to 15 minutes where they had the moment in the car where Bear drops off Nikki at her place, then she asks that question, do you like me or not? I knew the brother, you can see it's very obvious the brother loves her. Sorry.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
So then I get why he wanted to do like the the split the thing, right? With the one wish wonder thing, right?
Yeah, he wanted to break the one wish
He
rule and
wanted
make
to
the
do
wish.
that, right? I mean, like, I would say that, like, it kind of reminded me of back in the day, right, Mohnish, when we were young, let's just say like 10 years old, young. Did you ever had a crush on a girl, and then you go on the internet, you go on the love generator, see what's the percentage?
Oh my god, dude, come on, man. We all would have done
Hey,
that.
so the reason why I said somewhat yes, because it reminded me of that.
Yeah, no, to be fair to Bear, I don't think he knew it would have worked, but
Yeah.
in this case it did work. And in this case it was a pretty bad one, because I really feel for Nikki, because can you imagine being not in control of your own body and being stuck in there, seeing, feeling, hearing, knowing everything that's happening, and you have no control over any of it? Imagine all the pain she felt when they smashed the bottle in her
Yeah.
face and all that stuff. Like, dude, after a while it just gets dark. But I will say that Michael Johnston did a fantastic job as Bear. I think he was one of the most, of course, Indy Navarrete and the way she's really brought Nikki to life has been talked millions of times. But Michael Johnston also did a fantastic job. You know, like, it takes a lot to really show what, like, semi-sane person would react to in that situation.
Yeah.
But I like what he said. There was this interview where someone talked to him about his performance, and he said, "Oh, after a while, all I had to do was just be scared of her, which wasn't difficult." I'm like, yeah, to be fair, Indy Navarrete really knocked it out of the park. She was scary as shit. Yeah, and I mean, Bear might be the actual villain, but I do feel sorry for him. Which brings me to my next part, which is not a next point actually. It's sort of a subtopic within this topic. I feel like it's an interesting concept that there is no villain in Obsession. If you think about it, Nikki is a victim, Sarah is a victim. What was Cooper Tomlinson's character's name? But you know, he's kind of a victim too, I suppose. You know, he's sort of like
his name is
Ian.
right?
Ian. His name is Ian. You know, he literally, like, okay lah, he didn't believe Bear, but man wished for $1 million or $1 billion, I can't remember, and he got it. So there you go.
Could he be the real villain?
Well, he's just a moron.
He's a moron, but remember, like,
in this case, he's not a villain. The reason why is because his intention is different. Okay. Bear wanted Nikki to fall in love with him when he made the wish, even though he didn't know it would work. He wanted her to fall in love with him and become his. Ian, on the other hand, wanted to get rich, got rich, should have listened to his friend. When his friend walks into his house covered in blood, telling you something, and you notice Nikki's been off, and also just bringing us back to that point where Ian and Nikki were sleeping together for a while. Just letting y'all.
I was just
simmer
gonna
in
say that actually.
Okay.
I was just gonna say that I had a random theory, right? I mean, like, if let's say if Ian probably like kind of prevented this from all like spiraling out of control, if you think about it, right? Because the pair actually had like a thing going on with them, and this is without what's his name, bad knowing, right? Remember? So in a way, Ian could have been the reason why Obsession did not happen, if you actually think about it.
See, this is why, guys, you should just have honest relationships, okay?
So you see what I'm trying to get at, right? Imagine if Ian said something about Nikki, how would the film have turned out? Now that's some food for thought for you right there. So in a way,
but you know how the film would have turned out, and Nikki would have turned around and shot him in the head. I'm like,
that's true.
Which she did. I mean, I would have to say also, Ian's death was damn like quick. He just showed up, and then like Nikki just turns around, pow, cut, done.
I know, but I think that's like some food for thought, which shows that like the fan theories that you could come
Our
up with
Obsession fan theorists, please come and listen to Lewis's theory and see what he has to say, lah. And
Yeah,
you'll just
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
just gonna put it out there.
he's dropping some lore. Now, for our next discussion point, I think I want to go into something a little more industry wide. Yeah. Let's talk about the micro budget to blockbuster film pathway. So there have been 3 YouTube films that have come out in the recent days, well, recent months, I should say. Iron Lung, Backrooms, and Obsession. But I also want to mention a special mention for Shelby Oaks, because that's by Chris Stuckman, who is also a fellow film reviewer and on YouTube, which you can find and get Stuckmanized over there. So the guy is really he's an inspiration, I would say. And Shelby Oaks is a great film as well. But we're only focusing on Iron Lung, Backrooms, and Obsession today. So I want to talk about that pathway and how basically like films will be funded from now on. Because last time the rule was quite simple: if it makes money, pay for it. If it doesn't make money, get rid of it. If you have a star, if you have a famous person, if you have a movie star, your film automatically gets funded. Like, I still think at that time, if you had Leonardo DiCaprio or Denzel Washington or someone who you know will draw a crowd, or Tom Cruise, of course, your movie is automatically a yes, right? Doesn't matter who else is in it, doesn't matter what else is in it, it's automatically a yes. And I feel like that's another way for directors to come through, right? But looking at it now, Markiplier, yeah, he's a famous guy, but he self-funded Iron Lung and miraculously distributed it. Backrooms, of course, Kane Parsons made millions of views on YouTube before he actually got the call from James Wan and made that happen with Blumhouse and A24. And then, of course, Kari Barker, coming from his many different projects on That's a Bad Idea, Milk and Cereal, his first feature film, which he put on YouTube and got millions of views for, I believe. And then now he's managed to get the proof of the proof in the pudding here with Obsession. Like, I think there's an interesting pathway developing here with micro budget to blockbuster. So what do we think? Do we think that this is going to change how the kind of films that people are going to choose to pay for or like bring to the mainstream cinema?
I would say yes, because actually, fun fact, when I was watching it, I kid you not, I had a lot of kids watching the film.
What do you mean, kids?
I kid you not, they were like all these like young, let's just say teenagers, probably about 16 or 17.
Okay, I was imagining like 5, 6.
Oh no,
Whoa.
No. I mean, but sorry, they acted like kids. They were like so pissing, I tell you. But I'll get to the point. But it shows that like you can invite all these like, I think kids, okay, teenagers who are born after the year of 2008, right? Because now apparently 2008 equals to 18 years old. Can you believe that? I think.
Jeez.
Let that sink in for a minute, Mohnish. So like, it shows that if you're able to target like that sort of target audience, right? It shows that like what we can do with like these type of films, like we have with Obsession, for example, it is possible to like be able to, get like garner like a huge audience, right? But when it was like, it was awesome to like watch it with a bit of crowd reaction, yes, don't get me wrong with the film, but they were just laughing at the wrong moments. I'm just like, do you not find this?
What were they laughing at?
I remember they were just laughing at just like a bit when Nikki was laughing for no reason. Then I'm just like, why are you laughing at the person laughing? I don't get humor nowadays. I think these kids, these 6, 7.
Maybe they were too scared. They just decided to laugh instead of crying.
Probably lah. And it was beasting, I tell you. But nevertheless, but the point I'm making is, if you can, I think we're seeing a shift now where you could see like these YouTubers, Markiplier, Kari Barker, and Kane Parsons themselves, right? They are really giving Hollywood some competition, right? And the point that you made saying that like, if you have like someone like a Tom Cruise or like a Morgan Freeman or like, let's say, a Brad Pitt or like any of these top actors, most of the time your films will be a success. But let's take one film, for example. It's actually a film that we love the director so much that we did a tribute of him. It's actually Kogonada's film, a big, bold, beautiful journey, right? You had a very good cast. Margot Robbie and obviously Colin Farrell, the two main characters, right? Okay, now granted that this is not all Kogonada's fault, but if we're talking about the film itself, the marketing was good, visually it looks fantastic. But I feel that the film was a bit of a flop, okay, because obviously first of all Kogonada did not write it. But that is perfect proof on how you have like these two main actors in this film where you automatically think like, oh, this is going to be the film of the year. But when you watch it, it's actually like, it's kind of hard. What do you think?
No, that's a great example actually. Big Bull Beautiful Journey had 45 million in budget and
Only made about 20 mil, right?
20 mil in box office.
So
yeah, and it wasn't. So it's not just a flop. It's a bad flop.
So I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah.
It's a good example on like how these YouTubers, like we could
Yeah.
potentially be one of these guys who you can see.
But I feel like that's where the creator economy is going to come in, now, because the thing is, it's like the creator economy, looking at all these YouTubers and stuff like that, where they're actually interested in narrative storytelling, where it's like you can see that with the way they're doing things, it feels like a short film, or it is a short film, or some of these things where you have like long form films. And there's even YouTubers who are making feature film and posting them on YouTube. There was a YouTuber, I can't remember his name, but he made 20 features in 1 year, 20 feature films in 1 year, and posted them all on YouTube. Like, that's the kind of dedication you're looking at. That's the kind of output YouTube will bring, or the creator economy is able to do. And I think how it crosses over into Hollywood is that, Hollywood really, the thing is with Hollywood, it takes years to bring a film sometimes to life. Right? Sometimes you get your actors, then you don't get the budget. Sometimes you got the budget, but then your actor don't want. Or sometimes maybe it's not budget or actors. Sometimes it's completely a different thing. Maybe studio change, they don't want your film, they don't want to pay for it, your film collapses, or something happens, relationship, creative differences, all kinds of nonsense. And it becomes a big, arduous process to make films. But then when you look at things like how YouTubers make films, or how the creator economy functions, right? Like you and me, Lewis, if we want to make a film, we write the script, shortlist, storyboard, whatever, prep everything we need to, check the locations, get the actors, and then we go.
Agreed.
It's a very simple process, right? In that sense, it's not necessarily easy because it is sometimes very hot out there, and we don't exactly have all the resources, like how they were doing Dune, and they had like air-conditioned tents that you can walk into. I tell you what, on the Shoot for Lost Answers, Lewis's upcoming film, which you will be checking out eventually when it comes out, it was a really hot day. One time we were shooting, it was so hot. I would have killed for one of those air-conditioned tents. But it's part of but that's the part of it that people don't see, right? Because it's like, okay, yeah, we're able to make these films in cinemas, but the disconnect between the creator economy and Hollywood is that the creator economy can move much faster. Much faster. In the span of making one feature film, the creator economy could make 20, and that's a giant disparity, because the way they look at it and the way they approach it, right, is more individualistic, I would say, but also it has less of a buffer to like barrier to entry, shall I say. Like Hollywood, you need all kinds of crap to get through, supposedly lah. Whereas Markiplier funds his own film with his own YouTube success money. Awesome, great for him. Not everybody's a millionaire, but again, that's an approach that works. And then you've got Kane Parsons, who does his short films on YouTube, no connections, no nothing, gets millions of views. James Wan sees it. Next thing you know, he's got a worldwide hit, the youngest director with a #1 film ever. And then you've got Kari Barker, who has proven himself with both feature and short films on YouTube and on Instagram. He's a comedy duo with Cooper Tomlinson, who plays Ian in Obsession. That's kind of there, and I feel Obsession will 100% be at the Oscars this year. That's my prediction. I just wonder if everyone has enough acting credits to even be at the Oscars.
That's
This is the funniest part. None of them probably do. But yeah, Lewis, what do you think, like, a filmmaker from the YouTube side of things, right, will want if they want to go into a studio film?
Then the permits itself, I just tree from the internet and then I show them.
If any lawyer is looking at this 10 years down the road, just know that this is not a reflection of
just kidding.
Lewis. Lewis is actually very good. He's only under the influence of the One Wish Willow at the moment. That's why he's like that. But Lewis, actually, this is a good thing. Now we can transition into a more local side of things, right? The Malaysian industry is very famous, don't you think, in the film industry, right?
Yeah.
famous for many
Magic
blockbuster
Romance,
hits.
Blood Brothers, huh?
Just to address our
Can I
audience
breathe?
here,
Give me a break.
just to address our audience here, Louis got a bit of well, not a bit, quite a few comments on TikTok about his opinions on Magic Roam Park, and I also ended up getting a few, but nothing compared to Louis in this case because you had long comments, huh, Louis? But to be fair, there were a lot of people who agreed with Louis, and there were a few that critiqued his point of view, and it's actually, we want to say though that our audience has been extremely polite, which is great. And their feedback is actually worth replying to. It's not just mindless hate. So thank you all for that, engaging in that discussion with us.
Well, first things first, I would say that Malaysia itself should at least take a chance on like YouTubers now, because let me point out one thing. Like, it's actually a true fact. I'm gonna spit some facts right now. So Astro, we all know Astro, right? Astro is like the biggest, like in terms of in terms of entertainment, right? Everyone knows Astro. Everyone probably used to have a decoder.
Grew
with
up
Astro.
watching football, watching
Exactly.
Astroteria,
Exactly. So we grew up with
Animal
Astro,
Planet,
and
David Attenborough. Sorry, go ahead.
AXN, then the anime channel, Animax, I think I remember it's called. Remember that?
I never had the anime channel. I'm so sorry.
But it's okay. So I personally think that like, if Malaysia were to learn from this YouTube success, I would say that why not just take a risk, all right? Because usually towards the end of the year, we're still gonna be getting into the budget for the next year, right? When maybe we should allocate some for like the entertainment industry, right? All sectors should get like a piece of the pie from the budget. It's whatever the budget is, that's a different story.
I actually love what you're saying, because to me, I don't even think it's a risk. To be honest with you, I don't think it is. Now, I think a risk would be putting 100 million ringgit into a YouTuber filmmaker's pocket the moment he or she starts something. Fine. I understand. That's a lot of money for a movie in Malaysia, especially, right? But I think YouTuber filmmakers, right? I don't even want to call them that. I kind of want them just to be filmmakers, because I feel like it's not fair just to call them YouTube filmmakers as if they're like less than. The way I look at it is that these guys have been doing what other filmmakers have been doing in studios, but on their own, right? And they're doing it without getting salaries. They're doing it while they work other jobs. They're doing it while they do all these other things where their focus is not even 100% there, but they have to force themselves to be focused 100% of the time to make what they make. And it's a creative expression. But more so than that, you have self-motivated individuals working on a film. Now, usually motivation tends to be a thing, right? Because you're like, oh, are we paying him enough to be, to take this project seriously? But I can promise you, a filmmaker that grew up on YouTube, that used YouTube, like the two of us, to put out our short films. If someone paid us 2 million ringgit to do a film, I'm not even talking salary. I'm talking 2 million ringgit in the budget, which means we probably get like nothing out of that, next to nothing. We'll get something, but not much, nothing life changing. The both of us will probably say yes.
I agree.
Yeah, because it's like we never seen 2 million in our films before. Yeah, for us it's like, well, what's the highest budget you've ever hit? I guarantee you it's under 1,000 in terms of how much we spend. I guarantee you it's there. Like for me, the personal highest I've ever hit was 700 ringgit. And I forced myself to be very stringent on the budget, and I put myself in that situation. And that also was not even for a single film. That was because in 2024 I made 4 short films back to back to back, so there was a lot of cost in that. At some point, because I was not really good at budgeting for that many short films at that time, but I learned across that time how to do it. I just feel like for us, we should be giving these guys chances that, because I feel like they're the breath of fresh air that can just wake up our industry. Because to be fair, what we're doing right now is okay, but it just doesn't excite me personally. I can't speak for Lewis, but I think you all can guess what he's going to say. I'll leave that to him in a second. I just want to end off with this bit before Lewis gives his opinion on how the Malaysian films of the recent times have been. I just want to say that, look, I understand filmmakers here nowadays put in effort to make the best films they can. I just think we can do better. And I just think there is space for other people to tell their stories as well. That's what I think. Creating more jobs, even in the film industry, is always a good thing. So yeah, Lewis, but what do you think about the Malaysian film industry? Are the films good enough for you?
I mean, before I say that, one of the things, initiatives that can be put forward will probably be doing like a grant for filmmakers. Put a budget of 100 million, let's just say,
More grants, you mean?
more grants itself for the entertainment industry. Budget of 100 million, maybe applicants, you can get like maybe only like 10 applicants will get through. Get a budget of 10 million ringgit, plus minus around there. That's what we should do. Because why? The quality, like, okay, now going to the question about the quality of films that we have, released, right? I'm going to be talking about like maybe the past 40, 50 years or so and use some
We,
examples
well, I mean, without naming names.
without
Without
naming
naming
names.
names.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We do have like, okay, let's be honest. Malaysian film itself, we have a very long history. We have the great P. Ramlee from last time. Everyone knows P. Ramlee, right?
Okay, well, sorry. Before you start, I
Mm.
just want to clarify. When he says very long history, he means not too long ago.
Yeah, not too long ago.
Yeah.
It feels long.
Because as far as filmmaking goes, we're a very, very young country.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will say that Lewis is definitely right, lah.
Yeah.
But just Lewis, instead of just staying on all the films, just very quickly before, so we can get back to Obsession. Very quickly, just tell in one sentence what is how are your feelings on all Malaysian films at the moment?
Okay. Let's stop stealing ideas.
Yeah, it's
That Top
pretty
Gun.
pretty good.
Top Gun.
Oh, you mean I believe they had the same idea. What is he talking?
Oh, Magic Rompa.
That one also same idea. They rope up some.
They rompa the idea to them. There you,
Yeah. Well, there
there
you
you.
go.
That's all I'm gonna say.
But as fun as those films are, I just think we can do better, right? Now back to Obsession. Is Obsession just good or overhyped? It's
Okay.
actually to me, I'll just start this off before I hand it over to Lewis because I'll leave it to him. I think to me, it's very simple. It is so rare to see a film that deserves the hype that it has. Considering what Obsession has in terms of hype, it is the most hyped film I've seen in my lifetime. And I believe it deserves every minute of it because of the fact that it's not just low budget, but it's made well. For a low budget film, yeah, you can say it looks nice, but I say it looks nice in general. It's a great film, great storyteller, amazing story of like how these filmmakers are going to go from here. So Obsession, I believe, is properly rated lah. But over to Lewis.
100% is actually a good film, and the hype kind of like is, I don't think it's overhyped, but the hype kind of explains for it, right? With a budget of $750K, a lot of people might just think that nothing's gonna happen or whatnot, but actually, I think the hype in a way is kind of helping the film, right? Because when I watched it the other day, I think it was last week, I can't remember when I watched it, the cinema was almost full, actually. The cinema was
Same.
almost full. So it shows like the quality of film that is being released, right? And it's just like it's kind of like attracted like maybe non-regular moviegoers to even watch the film. Because how I know? Because when I was watching at the cinema itself, this guy would not even keep his phone shut. Would not even keep his phone brightness down. Let alone like if there's like a message on his phone, he doesn't even want to silence his phone, right? And then some of the other people just
So you had your fair share of morons in the cinema lah.
it's a young teenagers lah.
Kids,
Just
shut your phones off.
not only that, but then they were taking selfies in the cinema. I'm like, bruv, what?
Wait, when the movie is going on?
Yes.
What is wrong with that?
Can you just put down your phone for a moment, unless if it's your mom or dad texting or you want to write notes? Fine, go ahead. But
Selfie pula.
like selfie nak buat selfie pula. La ilah. Macam mana ni? But that shows like the type of audience that you are getting for this film.
Yeah, I mean, like to be honest with you, like Louis, do you have a favorite sequence or scene in Obsession. Like, okay, for me, my personal sequence or scene in Obsession that I love, but I also don't like as an audience member is that moment when Nikki does that movement in the dark corner
Mm.
where like after she's just like in that corner, and then like you can see her face is like all fucked up and shit, and she just moves like really fast for just a split second. I was like, oh no. I
Oh,
was like,
uh,
I saw that and I was like, blood, nah, bruh. Like, I do love the scene because I'm learning a lot from horror just by watching it, but oh my god, that is the kind of shit, right? That is not a jump scare. It happens in front of your eyes. No quick cuts, nothing. It just is a quick manipulation of character movement, and it sets it really sends shivers down my spine. Love the sequence. Probably won't want to watch that particular sequence again. I also think the ending was weirdly satisfactory but also sad. You know what I mean? I did not expect it to end with that much bloodshed, but it sounds kind of stupid to say actually, but considering the film, but like I thought there was going to be a nice happy ending at some point, not even in like a nice sunshine way. I just mean like somebody was going to get out of it alive and feel good about it, like they're like relief that they survived. But the one who gets out of it will be even more fucked up than the rest of them because she's literally, anyway. Luis, what's your favorite sequence?
my favorite sequence was the bit where Bear was in the toilet. He needed a
Oh,
moment
the
by
ending,
himself
the ending
towards
bit.
the ending itself. The amount of emotions that I was feeling when he was putting the gun into his mouth, you were just trying to think like, "Oh, what are you trying to do?" Some you could literally have full on arguments saying that like, if you were to pull the trigger, it would like just make sure that like end the misery literally in the film. But at the same time, you don't want him to pull the trigger because maybe you want to work things out, right? It's kind of like that contradictory sort of like thing.
Yeah,
You get
it's
what I mean,
like
right?
I know. It's just that like the thing is he had to die, otherwise the wish wouldn't have
Yeah, that's the
no
thing.
one, yeah, the wish would have been there forever, and Nikki wouldn't have been free. But this brings me back to my bit where Ian should have just listened to Bear and done what he said once, so that all this could have happened. If Ian listened to him, Bear wouldn't have had to die. Anyway, but the point is, I feel like we can both agree Obsession is very good, very well rated, and deserves the hype, shall we say?
100%. 100%.
Yep. Now, just before we return to our lovely Letterboxd tradition, I would just like to take us through a bit of Curry Barker's inspirations. So, Curry Barker has been very vocal about the fact that he was inspired by Ari Aster's Hereditary, which is a horror classic. I also just wanted to talk about it. Actually, we watched Hereditary in preparation for this podcast, just to have this conversation. So, Louis, just what did you think about Hereditary?
Okay. I mean, when I watched Hereditary, I felt that like this is like a film that like he is what's his name? Curry Barker really drew a lot of inspirations from, right?
You can see it. You can see it.
You could see it for sure because let me give you like three keywords where in a way where Curry Barker himself managed to get inspiration from Hereditary, and I'll give you three words. The first word being space, not outer space, but the word space. Second word is loss, or if you want to add it on, maybe loss of reality. Last but not least, emotions. All right. Now,
Yeah, but
reason
every
why,
film got emotion.
but let me explain for this one. Obviously, every
Okay,
film
okay.
got emotions lah. If no emotions, then I think you just watch that TV show
There you
Wednesdays.
go. Another one for the lost films. Lost emotion.
Here we go
Go ahead.
again.
Go ahead.
All right. But one of the things that I feel like the film Hereditary did well is just like, when you watch Hereditary, you could see that the family was like, just like a normal, typical family, a son, a daughter, a mom, a dad. But then they were taken aback by the death of the daughter. Her name was Charlie, who was unfortunately brutally sticked her head out.
Sorry, I
And
just want to interrupt for 1 second because this is something I need to talk about for just my own sanity. You know what scared the shit out of me
was that?
in Hereditary? It was not just Charlie's death. It was when her brother did not tell the parents and just left her
Oh
headless
yeah.
body in the car, and then he just goes to sleep, and then parents wake up in the morning, and all you see is I forgot what her brother's like name is, but
His name is
anyway,
Peter.
Peter. Okay, he's just like sleeping like this, and all you see is his face. This is the shot, right? And it's told beautifully through sound, but it scared the living shit out of me because I know exactly what's going to happen. And it's like he's like that, he's not blinking, he's like that, and then it's like you can hear Tony Collette, his mom, just scream, and then you can see it's like dad's like what oh, and I'm like oh my god, oh, and I don't know whether if like as a parent, like I don't even understand what you would say to your son in that moment because I'm looking at it like I would be like scolding my son like why do you leave her there till tomorrow morning? Oh my god. Anyway, it's a whole thing. Louis, I'll return it back to you. Enjoy.
Yeah, so I mean, like, what I really felt is like one of the things that the keywords like space, for example, which Hereditary showed in that film itself, and what Obsession took out of it, it's just like in Hereditary, you're dealing with the death of the daughter, and like a family who is like, just trying to like accept the fact that she's gone, and they can't do anything about it. And then if you into Obsession itself, where space is also shown with like, you have these two characters, and now we're gonna go back to Obsession itself, where you have Nikki and also Bear, where you could see like they have like some sort of dynamic going on, some sort of emotional sort of thing that like, the two of them are dating. So of course they will have some sort of emotions with them. But then you could see like what these two films did from itself, like did good and paired well, is how like, the dynamics of like one side of the family loses like their daughter, and the other side is just like how Bear decided to do this wish, and then boom, there you go, this is a reality that he has to deal with. So in a way you can like kind of like see like the differences of like how these two like films, let's just say, I'm trying to look for the right word, deal with their own trauma in a way, and deal with their own
Yeah.
problems. It's like one of the things that I kind of like personally felt like I picked up on, you know, feeling how they deal with their own problems, whether some wants a bit of space, some I've another point. The spacing itself also, because sometimes like you can see the mom with her name is, what's her name again? The mom, her name is Annie, right? I remember her name was. You can see that she was an emotional mess when you was with her. She didn't really want to talk to anyone, and kind of like just like when
She's the
Cuckoo.
only one who reacted the right way, if you ask me.
Oh yeah, yeah. So in a way, it's just like how sometimes like everyone will react to different to the situation differently, and also like how sometimes people just need a bit of space to like be able to reflect and then go back to their normal selves. In a way, that's how like I feel like Hereditary was like the starting point from like this, from the foundation of this, and how it carried over to Obsession, I would say.
Yeah, no, I mean that's beautifully said. And now we must move on to our letterbox review session. But before that, we're just gonna read each other's reviews of Hereditary very
Oh,
quickly before we move on to Obsession. So, Louis, I've sent you my review. I will read yours right now. And as always, my dear friends who have been watching, we're gonna pop that up right here. And yeah, I've also decided in just this moment, I kind of forgot to tell Louis this, that I'm going to be cutting out and using our letterbox reading reviews to be put in a separate video as well on its own, so that
oh,
people can enjoy that on its own, as power as it is. Okay, and as always, we'll be popping up the reviews right here, as you can see right now. So Louis watched Hereditary on the 2nd of July 2026, which just so happens to still be today. And like I said, we watched this in preparation for Obsession. Now, the man had a lot to say about it, so do prepare yourselves. He says, and with a 4-star rating at that, I get it when you think of horror films. The first thing you would think of would be jump scares, ghosts, monsters, etc. However, Hereditary is a perfect example of letting the action do the talking and letting your psychological side just take over. It feels like a slow burn sort of horror, but I just like the fact that horror can be done without the conventional ways of scaring or getting a reaction out of the audience. Phew, that was such a beautifully written one. I will give it a like. Yeah, not a single not a single issue in that. Beautiful, beautiful. Everyone who has seen that review and stayed on it, or if you're seeing this on the separate video, go and like it. I will link Lewis's. I've always linked Lewis's letterbox, but go and check it out. But Lewis will now read my review, so I'll leave that to him while I like his review.
I mean, that review was done after I went to the gym, probably, or before. I think I can't remember. So yeah, there we have it. Okay, so Monish over here, he watched it. Sorry, rewatched it on the 2nd
Yeah.
of July, actually. And he gave a 4.5 stars. And he said this: I finally plucked up the courage to revisit the film right after Obsession, and it really holds up. The way Curry Barker has drawn inspiration in his own unique way from this Ari Aster classic is amazing to see. Hereditary isn't by any means a super old film, but it's already a classic in my eyes. I have to say, as someone who didn't grow up watching horror, this film and this genre are a real education for me as a filmmaker to broaden my horizons and explore and understand genres that are outside my comfort zone. Ari Aster, please return to horror. This Curry Barker is power. Hey, need to read in Malaysia. Ari Aster, please return to horror. This Carly Barker is power. You need to put a bit of Malaysian, then it sounds nicer. And Kane Parsons too, but it's time to remember the kids how to settle business. You tell them how
I
to
mean,
settle the business at the
it's
same.
true. It's true. I have missed him in the horror world. I maybe we should do something on Ari Aster. Let Lewis watch Ari Aster's work. You know, he actually did one called Eddington, which is a western set in the pandemic.
I thought it sounded like Paddington.
Oh, I wish, but it's nothing compared to Paddington 2. Tell you that for free. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we will be moving on to the reviews that you have been waiting for Obsession. Lewis, I will be sending you the reviews now.
Boleh.
Now, of course, we will be also reading each other's reviews. So that is something you all can look forward to. Now, I have to send him mine, and that would be these two, I believe.
Alright, let's have a look.
Yep, so I've sent you two reviews, and I have two reviews to read from as well. So, Lewis, I will read your review first for Obsession, then you'll read mine, yeah?
Okay.
Okay, so Lewis watched Obsession. As always, we're going to pop them up right here, so do stay tuned. Actually, let me do that again. I'll try, since it's a separate video as well. Here are our Letterboxd reviews for Obsession. Now, the full episode of our here are our Letterboxd reviews for Obsession. The full episode of the Obsession podcast can be found here on the Film Major, but here are our exclusive Letterboxd reviews in our review section that we always reserve for the end of the podcast. Now, I will be reading my co-host Lewis' review for Obsession. And as always, we'll be popping them up right here. So Lewis watched Obsession on the 29th of June 2026, and he gave it an astounding 5-star review. And he describes it as a roller coaster of emotions. Moments leave you wondering how this can happen. Honestly speaking, I enjoyed this film. It reminded me of James McAvoy in Split and a bit of Perfect Blue, which is an anime he's referring to. The film does one right thing. Only one, okay. Which is messing with your psychological state. One moment you think it's all calm, and the next you are screaming for dear life. Love the film, but need some time to recover after watching it. So, I mean, I couldn't agree more. The last part, everyone needs some time to recover after watching it. So, yep. But now, Lewis, you may go ahead and read my review.
Okay, so from the great Monish Raja Kumaran. 5 stars also on the 24th of May 2026. He said this: I am not a horror fan. Curry Barker, you absolute mad dog, is all but guaranteed my newfound horror fandom. Thank you for bringing me over to the dark side. Obsession is, on same level, a textbook horror film, but
On some level.
on some level, a textbook horror film, but it reminded me of how primal horror really is. It's never about a convoluted plot or complex characters. It's about the reflection of everyday people and the relatability that serves the actual dread and horror of this film, even more when all the freak shit starts. Bear, you have a moral compass, my guy.
There
Fantastic
you go.
review.
So yeah, as you can see, my review avoided being too over expositionistic, and yeah, that's a little joke from our Disclosure Day podcast. But there you go.
Oh, yeah.
uh, Luis, I will be reading another review. This review is from Vino, who is actually Sharvin.
Oh,
um,
okay.
yeah, and I'll be popping it up right here. So Sharvin or Vino, whichever he wants to go by, watched this on the 26th of June 2026, which I believe is that the same. Oh no, it's not the same day you watched it before. But yeah. Anyway, he gave it a 4.5 stars. Now he gives that. Now basically, he also has a decent amount to say, and he goes, "Holy fuck, that was amazing. Unfortunately, I find it hard to feel scared when it comes to horror movies or even video games." Okay. "Once I had to lock myself in a dark room and play Resident Evil 7 to feel something, and even then I did not feel fear." Okay. "I prayed for times like this." He prayed for. Okay. Um, this is the first time in a very, very long time I genuinely got chills running down my spine. I'm so happy. Sabi, you're right, ah. Okay. Um, really didn't think a movie like this could scare me and actually work on me so effectively. So there you go. Shavin is, there are people like Lewis, for example, who uh, probably got scared in some horror films. There are people like me who definitely got scared in horror films, and then you got Shavin who does it for the love of the game. You know what I mean? I gotta say, level. It's very next level, Shavin. I have to say, but love the review. I'll just drop a like right there because that's what Letterboxd is about. Um, I'm so glad that Kari Barker was able to please the horror fans, the not horror fans, and then there's Shavin, who is just that guy doing it for the love of the game. Lah. Now we're gonna move on to our next review, which Lewis is gonna read. Lewis, you take it away.
All right. So this is from TMIEM. So it's it's M.
This is
Oh,
M.
oh,
M,
it's
yeah.
M. Yeah. Okay. So hi M. If you I don't know if you know that we do podcasts, but yeah, we do
Oh,
podcasts.
we'll send it over.
Okay. All right. So she said this. This was both terrifying and devastating. I feel sick. I just can't imagine the trauma, and it sucks when men get away from things so easily. F you, Bear. Indi Navarrete. Your performance, sorry if I butchered that name again, is out of this world. We need Indy. How many times you have to say the name again? Indy Navarrete in more horror movies, but we also need more gaffers. It's too damn dark in here. And she gave this a 5-star, by the way.
I agree with the gaffer part, although it is a horror film, so But yeah, as far as Indy Navarrete goes, hey, she deserves every bit of praise she's been getting. I also think that uh M might be on the Bear is the villain train.
Mm-mm.
So there's definitely that. And I agree with her. Fair enough. I made my point quite clear. So yeah, as always, some killer reviews on Letterboxd. Sponsor us. um, thank you all for watching and listening to us. And Obsession has been a glorious ride to cover because let's be honest, I don't think we're gonna get a film like this for a while. So this has really been great. Lewis, any final words on the Obsession podcast and on Obsession itself?
I mean, if you guys are listening or watching this podcast, I assume that everyone has watched it. But if you haven't watched it, why are you even watching this podcast in the first place? But I mean, if you are, thank you. But seriously, go watch the film right now. That's all I can say.
Yeah, no, I actually, sorry, just to end off, I was actually just checking out our Spotify, and the last time we looked at it, we had 173 plays and listens. Sorry, 78 plays and listens total. Now we have 384 all-time plays and downloads for our episodes recently. So thank you all very much. That's an interesting little thing that I didn't check out until now, but there you are. As always, thank you all for your reactions on Instagram, TikTok, and we will see you in the next one where Lewis will do a handstand, and he will also teach you all how to do many things with different aliens. And of course, we have a little surprise for y'all in the next episode, which is going to be a bit more different because we're going to have a different layout. Why, you ask? There might be more people. Maybe Lewis has a clue who it is, but until then, y'all can just check out his cup. Isn't that a nice cup? Now,
You want to see it close up?
I'll go close up.
No.
Let's get a close up of that, and then we're gonna cut to black in 3, 2, 1.